It seems to me that addressable has launched in the most obvious starting point, which is in the transaction space, and for all the reasons that we've been talking about. You can track, did you pick up the new customer, did you get the sale, and that justifies a CPM that I got it. I'm curious if you expect the world to become almost ubiquitously addressable in the future. Do you see different levels of addressable, and where today addressable is kind of a transaction-based addressable, but in the future, back to Erwin's point about the 12-year-old that is the pipeline for the Mercedes, that kid is addressable for the pipeline. It's not the transaction addressable. That'll happen when he turns 40. But does my question make sense? Do you see that evolution?
Yeah, I mean, the term addressable will change. If we were 100% of every TV household was addressable to that individual set-top box, things would change. I don't think any advertiser would make 100% of their television one-to-one simply because of everything we talked about in the Mercedes example Erwin gave. I think the addressable technology would be more utilized to manage frequency or version different copy, particularly for the larger advertisers with multiple brands. But at the end of the day, if you do truly have a huge broad segment and the cost of your product or service is relatively inexpensive, and your national television CPM based on the legacy business is efficient, that heavily reduces the value of the premiums of one-to-one addressability. So I think that answer is going to be different for every single advertiser.
Rick, it occurs to me, talking about this notion of attribution and data collection, that you talked multi-screen, and the three things about the mobile phone: it's mobility, duh, its ubiquity, and of course the identity of the user would suggest that that particular device is an attribution machine. How does that play into your plans to do the multi-screen approach, and how important is the data collection from that channel?
For all those reasons, and maybe most importantly, and this came up on a panel earlier today over at the Time Center, the interactivity of that device. So being able to dive into that experience creates huge opportunities for advertisers and for CMOs going forward. So it's not even just that we got to you and you were the right audience and we got to you on your screen of preference, and back to Erwin's examples of lean forward, lean back, but in the example where you're leaning forward, in that environment, the engagement, and what we see this today, and this is evident in the digital space today, which is in many cases digital and mobile kind of are blended. The engagement, the time involved, the ability to track through everything that happened there, especially in an opt-in environment, is huge. And so I believe that space will continue to evolve. I think that it presents great opportunities for everybody in the ecosystem. It does require change. Back to, I mean, we're all facing change, you know, and so, but that's exciting.
Steve and Mike, do you work with or clash with the TV buying arms of your media buying agencies and/or the mobile media buying?
I report to the guy who runs television for Group M. If I clashed with him, I'd have my ass out on the street first thing tomorrow morning.
It all has to work together.
It all
I mean, we're beyond the fighting.
Got it.
It's got to work.
Got it. Because I'm a big believer that incentives matter, and at agencies, incentives are like it really drives action. Last question I want to ask. It came up earlier. This notion of walled gardens are these big players. There's folks like well-backed large players like Google and Apple and Amazon, Netflix and Facebook. Do you think they're all eyeing the $70 billion of spend domestically? They all want to go after those dollars. They are digital. They have a lot of data on users. Net, does that group of folks, of players, does that help or hinder the development of addressable TV writ large?
So it will add, essentially, another form of addressability. I mean, those channels are IP-enabled, in nature, so they have the ability right now to insert at that one-to-one level. And if you think about it, they're all spending millions and millions of dollars to produce this content. And so far, they've recouped that investment by gaining new subscribers. But that's almost at the end of the line. So they're going to have to, regardless of what Reed Hastings says, they're going to have to start to deploy some type of advertising model to recoup some of the revenue that they're spending on all this programming. And while I don't think it's going to be a traditional television model with singled out pods, I do think it will be an addressable model. In 3 years from now, 2 years from now, maybe 18 months from now, we will look at Netflix just like we look at Roku today or Samsung tomorrow as another MVPD to insert an addressable spot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think, you know, when we're at dinner or whatever, I think it's going to be addressable video. I don't think we're going to be talking about TV. I think when you look at like the Hulus and the Amazons and Netflix of the world, you know, they're going to be day parts. You know, I think not today, maybe not tomorrow, but, you know, not too far in the future.
And I was going to add that I think consumer behavior is going to dictate a lot of that. So how we're seeing the change in the way that people are consuming the content, that's what's going to ultimately lead to where this is headed.
Yep. Rick, final words? Are those competitors or are they partners?
Frenemies, and we're all used to it. Frankly, my time at AT&T, we've gone through so many cycles. You know, we started as a phone company. 38% of the country has no phone, and we've cannibalized ourselves many times. You know, wireless to wired services, et cetera. The DirecTV, people talk about, okay, where's over the top? Are you guys saying, we're well aware of over the top, and we're excited about over the top. And guess what? The linear TV business is going to be really strong for the foreseeable future. The TV advertising business is going to be very strong for the foreseeable future. So quite candidly, I don't spend a lot of time trying to define everybody in the ecosystem. We spend our time trying to figure out how to maximize our opportunity. Some curveballs will be thrown at us periodically, and frankly, I hope we throw some curveballs.